and Evening News at 6.
Well, a recent congressional report is putting the spotlight on companies that are not doing enough to keep dangerous levels of heavy metals out of baby food.
Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi is a Democrat whose 8th district covers much of the west and northwestern suburbs. He also serves on a subcommittee advocating for safer baby food. And this is just one of the topics we'll be discussing with him today. Thanks for joining us, Congressman.
Hey, thank you so much, Micah and Ray.
Back in March of 2021, the Baby Food Safety Act was introduced. And there are neurotoxins in baby food, lead, arsenic, mercury. What?
Yeah, it's pretty shocking. And, my wife and I have 3 beautiful children. I joke that we were a profit center for baby food companies for many years. But in all seriousness, it surprised me that there are unfortunately toxic levels of heavy metals such as arsenic, cadmium, mercury, and lead in many baby foods. And the second thing that we learned is that the FDA, unfortunately, does not regulate this $13 billion industry as closely as it should. In response to our initial report, FDA did announce a campaign to try to regulate toxic heavy metals in baby foods, but we think that they need to hustle because the problem is bigger than what we initially suspected.
And this is all the big baby food companies. The question is, why is it in there? Is it a byproduct? Is it the packaging? Is it an additive? How does it get there in the first place?
There's a variety of sources, including additives, pesticides, fertilizers, water, as well as things called enrichment ingredients to help to fortify certain vitamins within those baby foods. The problem is that those ways of enriching the food actually add more toxins. And so those are things that baby food companies should control. And quite frankly, they should phase out some of those ingredients as well.
What makes you wonder about the long term as far as eating baby food as a child, what that does in the future with arsenic and things like that in it. Let's talk a little bit about the hotel industry in Chicago. Went down quite a bit, $2.8 billion loss in 2021, obviously because of the pandemic. What are you trying to do to help workers to continue to work and to get paid?
Well, unfortunately, the hospitality and the hotel motel industry took it on the chin during the pandemic. Since 2019, we've lost 500,000 jobs in that industry alone. And so I am a sponsor of a bill called the Save Hotel Jobs Act, which is meant to help keep those workers in their jobs as we get through this pandemic. Many women fill those jobs. Many people of color fill those jobs. Underserved communities rely on those jobs. And so we should support those jobs just as we have with other industries that have really been severely affected by the pandemic.
So protecting their jobs is one angle, and I know that we've been talking about that for a number of months here, but why has there been no direct aid in any of the federal packages that supported the American worker?
Well, I think that this is something that we have to address now. But interestingly, even during the Donald Trump administration, I think there was some reluctance by the White House to particularly aid this industry, given the participation of the president in that industry. Nonetheless, now we know that the industry is hurting still. My district, which surrounds, for instance, O'Hare Airport, is full of these hotels and convention centers and so forth that are still reeling, and we have a lot of jobs at stake, and we need to help those people.
Well, President Biden is making his delayed visit tomorrow. What can we expect from that? On the one hand, we're talking about vaccine mandates, and then the other is probably pushing his infrastructure bill.
Right. I think that the president's visit is well-timed. These vaccine mandates really work. I've heard very positive feedback, both from employees, but also employers and customers of these different companies that have put in these vaccine mandates, such as United Airlines, for instance. I think that the president's order requiring employers with greater than 100 employees to have vaccine mandates makes a lot of sense. This is a significant pandemic, and we have to approach it in a serious way now. With regard to infrastructure, I'm also eager to hear his comments as we try to rebuild our roads and bridges and airports. We have a famous piece of infrastructure in my district called the Elgin-O'Hare Expressway, which neither reaches Elgin nor O'Hare. And so hopefully we can, help this aspirationally named piece of infrastructure achieve its final destinations.
And I know finally you've been really frustrated by this difficulty with increasing the debt limit. How much longer do you think, we're going to keep kicking this one down the road?
I think that we're going to come to resolution on this soon. I've heard that there was positive movement in the Senate. At the end of the day, we have to raise the debt limit. It has nothing to do with current or future spending. It has to do with past bills. It's akin to, going to a restaurant, ordering a meal, enjoying it, and then deciding whether we want to pay the bill. And lest we engage in a national episode of dining and dashing, we need to raise the debt limit and pay off those bills for goods and services already rendered. If we don't, we risk the full faith and credit of the United States and all the horrible consequences that go with that.
Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi, thank you so much. Be safe, be well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Take care.
Checking out with Demetrius. Gloomy